In today's world of contactless payments, smartphones and social media, it might not seem like we need to remember numbers anymore until a payment device fails and you can't remember your PIN number. Or you forget a relative's birthday because they're not on Facebook. Or your phone dies and you can't borrow someone else's to let your partner know because you can't remember their phone number. In this video, you'll learn a centuries-old technique which will make remembering numbers easy. Stick around till the end of the video and I'll even teach you how to memorize pi to 25 digits, and you can use that to impress your mates in the pub. The technique that we're going to learn is called the major memory system, and it's been around in various forms since at least the 17th century. It was invented by a French mathematician and astronomer called Pierre Hérigon and popularized in the 20th century by magician and memory expert Harry Lorraine. On a basic level, it works by replacing numbers with words. To understand why, it's worth looking at why we find it so difficult to memorize numbers in the first place. The challenge is numbers are abstract. It's hard to visualize a number. You can't hold, touch, taste, smell a number. As I've mentioned in the past, those things are really important for memorization. In a previous video, I looked at a system which used either words that rhyme with numbers to replace them, so 1 is sun, 2 is shoe, 3 is tree, or a number shape system where you use objects that are shaped similarly to the numbers. 1 could be a pen or a pencil, 2 could be a swan, 3 could be a pair of handcuffs. Those systems are fairly simple to learn, but they are limited. It's fairly easy to come up with rhyming words for the numbers 1 to 10, but once you go much higher, it becomes a little bit more challenging. What would rhyme with 27? This is where the major system comes in. It works by replacing the digits 0 to 9 with consonant sounds and then adding vowels to those consonant sounds to create words. So for example, the sound for number 1 is T and the sound for number 2 is N. I'll explain why in a minute. So if you wanted to remember 12, you might use the word ton. That's T and N with a vowel in the middle. I like to imagine one of those giant cartoon weights dropping on something. If you wanted to remember 21, you might think of the word note. So you could think of a banknote or a written note or a musical instrument playing a note. That's the basics of how the major system works. Let's look at the 10 consonant sounds and then I'll show you how to create words using them and how to then use those words to memorize long digit numbers. This might be a little bit difficult to grasp at first, but there are only 10 sounds that you need to remember, and once you've got them, you'll have them for life, and it's a really useful system to know. 0 is Z or S. I like to remember that the word 0 starts with a Z and they're phonetically similar. 1 is T or D, T or D. Again, they sound similar and both of them have one downstroke. That's how you remember. 2 is N, that has 2 downstrokes. 3 is M, that has 3 downstrokes. There's a pattern forming here, I know, which I'm about to break. 4 is R. Some people remember this, they say that 4 sounds a bit like R when spoken. I'm not so convinced, but if it works for you, then great. I like to remember that the last letter of 4 is R. 5 is L. You could remember that the Roman numeral for 50 is L. Or if you hold up 5 fingers, the shape of your forefinger and thumb makes an L shape. 6 is soft G or CH or SH, J, Ch, Sh. Phonetically similar, and the way to remember this is a lowercase g looks like a 6 flipped over. 7 is K or hard C or hard G, K or G. Again, they sound similar, and a K looks like 2 sevens slotted together. 8 is F or V, Th or V. If you write F in script form, it looks kind of like an 8. 9 is P or B, P or B. Again, similar sounds, and they look like either a mirror image of a 9 or a 9 flipped over. So that's the 10 consonant sounds. Let's look at some examples of how to create words that we can use for memorization. We've already seen that 12 could be ton or 21 could be note. For single digit numbers, you just add vowels to the consonant. So 1 could be tie, that's the T sound with some vowels added. 2 could be Noah, think of Noah's Ark. 3 is Ma, I like to think of my mum. You don't have to think of my mum. With a little bit of work, it's fairly straightforward to come up with words for the numbers 1 to 99, and then you can link those together to memorize longer digit numbers, which we'll look at in just a moment. You can also come up with words on the fly. This takes a little bit of practice, but it's not that hard to do and surprisingly fun. It is also possible to make words out of 3 digits. This is a little more challenging, but it is possible. So for instance, 314 could be motor. Those are also the first 3 digits in pi, which we'll come to towards the end of the video. To remember longer digit numbers, you're going to break the number down into 2 or 3 digits, create words using those digits, and then link them together in some kind of story. The more unusual the story that you create and the more vivid the imagery, the more likely you are to remember it. We tend to remember the weird and wonderful, and we forget the boring and mundane. Try to create mental images with movement and engage as many senses and emotions as possible. Let's say you have a pin number 3245 that you want to remember. You could imagine a lion with a big hairy mane sliding down a rail, or you could imagine a mine with a handrail leading down to it. Maybe you've got a phone number to remember, 07362 765 894. I'm in the UK and all mobile numbers start with 07, so I'll assume that you can just remember that bit. 362 could be machine. Then we have 76, that's couch. 58 is lava, and 94 is bore. Imagine a giant washing machine that's bouncing across the room as it washes clothes, and then it jumps in the air and lands on a massive couch. As it hits the couch, the seams burst open and hot lava starts flowing out all across the floor. As the lava flows across the room, it hits the feet of a boar which is sitting in the corner, which jumps into the air and squeals. Mad, I know, but it's a lot easier than remembering the phone number. You can use this system to memorize any number. PIN numbers, important dates, phone numbers. If you've watched my previous video on the peg system, you can use the major system to create peg words too. As I promised at the beginning of the video, we're going to look at memorizing pi to 25 digits. This might be a bit of a challenge, but if you're up for it, give it a go and you can impress your mates in the pub. Here's pi to 25 digits. Let's break that up. We saw earlier that 314 could be motor. Imagine a giant cartoon-like motor car. Then we have 159. We're going to create the word tulip. 26 is notch. 53 is lamb. 58 will be lava. 979 is pickup. 32 is moon. 38 is movie. 46 is rash. 26 will be nudge. And finally, 43 is ram. Let's make those into a story. Let's start with motor. Imagine a giant cartoon-like motor car revving its engine as it speeds into a field of tulips. As it flattens the tulips, it creates a giant notch in the field, and from the other side of the notch, a lamb is running towards you. The lamb looks a little bit scared, and that's because there's hot lava flowing really quickly behind it. Floating on top of the lava is a giant pickup truck, and on the back of the pickup truck is a huge moon. As you look closer, you notice somebody's projecting a movie onto the moon. It's not a great movie though, it's a public health service video warning about a deadly rash. Suddenly you realise it's a dream as someone nudges you to wake you up. You see that the thing that's nudging you is a ram. Absolutely bonkers, I know, but give it a go and see how many digits of pi you can remember using the story. Do let me know in the comments how you got on, and if you want to learn more tips on how to remember all sorts of different stuff, do make sure you like the video and subscribe.